Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Spider-Woman, issue number 11. Great book. I really like the advertisements for this, what they were doing with it. I really expected the book to look like this when it came out, but, well, whatever, they made it normal. That being said, the team, that the writing and art team that's on here, it's like synchronized swimming with these two. Knowing the behind the scenes, knowing that they just boom, boom, boom. They just riff off of each other and the similar interests that they have with each other. I love the idea of that. Let's get into what that team is. And then we're going to talk about this book that kind of reboots some stuff, but in a good way. So we got Carla Pacheco doing the writing, Perry Perez doing art, Frank D'Armata doing colors, and VC's Travis Lanham doing letters. Jung-Gun Yoon doing the cover. Whole bunch of variant covers out there, which says that they believe in this book. Anthony Gambino, production design. So Jess, in this book, she has to get a new old costume. She has to get her costume back, which I'm sure a lot of fans are really happy about that. You know, we talk about we want change, but there's only but so much change that we really want. So I really did like that costume, but from the very first issue, there was a great reason to not keep that costume, right? Because they're tracking me, damn it. They're tracking me. In this particular one, lights kind of show up out of nowhere that she's like, I was trying to be sneaky, but there are a couple of cool little extra gadgets on here also, like razor wings, you know, the little glider wings and whatnot. Me likey. Me likey some of the things that are happening in this story, dude. I'm digging that. And Carla's being Carla. She's just having way too much fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, you know what they always say? If you find a job that you like, you'll never have to work another day in your life. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that's really just Carla. Like, she just, boom. She feels like she's just having so much damn fun doing these comic books. I love it. And it translates well to us. The stories are just so fun. They're so engaging. And they're not completely light humored. Carla's really not giving the respect that she needs to her partner, who's trying to marry her, mind you. But like, here's this guy who could be a superhero by his own right. You know what I'm saying? He used to run the gambit, you know? And he could be out there helping, but she's just like, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no. And it's kind of like a reverse, I don't know, marrying down kind of thing. It's weird, but it's enjoyable. It's a great story to see. Carla really has Jess being in her own head all the time, while also being not superficial, but like that level right before you become superficial. She literally looks at the world as, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to rely on my friends, and my friends are going to help me do my thing, and things like that. And I will help my friends do their thing, but my way. Like, it's always been that way since Carla's taken her 11 issues. That's really what Carla's been doing with this character, and it just fits so well. It's such a fit. It's like a glove, not an OJ glove, a real glove. It's like a glove that actually fits on the hand of the person, and wow. Can't believe I went freaking OJ on this one. Let's rewind a little bit. Okay, we're good now, right? Right? Her relationship, and by her I mean Carla's relationship with Pepe Perez is, Pepe Perez. Man. I've got to find an example. First off, they look like new characters in here to me. People with swords. And Carla's little thing with swords is freaking great. In fact, she even has Jess pulling out some knives in this, and it was really good. Right, like, there was a lot with the combat sports in this that made me think. It's like, here's this character who's super strong. She can, I think she can still spin her little webs. Does she even spin webs anymore? I haven't seen her spin webs. Have I? Anyway, but she's still doing her venom blast, and she's still got the pheromones, stuff like that. And like, she's still like badass beyond belief, sticking to walls, whatever. Like, but here, this is what she shows her enemies. And as a former combatant myself, when you show someone weapons, you're saying, this is what I am. You don't know all the other things that this character can do. And these characters don't really know her, which is like, that was perfect. And yes, of course, being a former Hydra agent, I'm sure she can use a knife or two. So this was actually really cool. That was a fun look. Everything else in this book, I got to find some examples, man. And my favorite example is actually right here. And there are a lot of examples like this, but this was my favorite one. You ever look at a character, you know, ever since you weren't a teenager anymore, a character in a comic book, and just be like, Feeling some funny movement down there. Bruh, what is this? What is this? Care if that sounds pervy or not, it's not my fault. I'm just reading the damn comic book and looking at some pretty pictures, and all of a sudden, you know, like, dude, Spider-Woman's booty is looking especially fine. Especially, and she's always had a fine booty. She's always had that booty to butt. You know what I'm saying? But in this particular case, I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just something in the air. It snowed today here in Canada. You know what I'm saying? It's the weirdest thing. April. End of April. It's freaking snowing. What's up with that? That being said, I'm just looking at this book. I'm just like, dude, what the frick? Holy crap, she's looking really especially good. But it's always been that costume, hasn't it? Just the design, the aesthetic of the costume. It's always just been this thing that, like, it's so attractive. And not just attractive in the sexual type. Like, no, attractive, like, it's bright, it's shiny. It's like, hey, here's me. Moon Knight's the guy who's like, I want them to see me coming. Jess is the person who's always like, you know, here I come. I don't care what your interpretations are going to be, unless there's like bright lights coming out of several parts of her costume, which is like, how do I turn this thing off? Which was freaking hysterical in here. I was laughing my ass off at that. Still trying to figure out the things that are on this. It's like, doesn't this thing come with a user manual? Does anybody remember The Greatest American Hero? Right? That's what that reminds me of. In this regard, I'm just like, dude, I'm glad that the old costume is back. There's a couple nifty little upgrades to it, so to speak. And it's just being Jess. And she is caught up in her head. And she's dealing with these new bad guys who just kind of show up out of nowhere. Is that going to be valuable to some specs? Maybe. To some speculators? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, those of us who are getting the comic book regardless, you know what I'm saying? And I don't sell my comic books, so I don't care about the spec market in that regard. But I understand the need for it. But like this was Jess having problems and still just being herself and still just being fun while still turning off some people after she just turned off her best friend, right? It's causing problems by not paying attention to the problems that are already there, not being introspective enough, and it leads for moments of character development. Guys, I've made this comparison many times before, and both of them kind of brush off the comparisons, and that's fine until we see them team up and just absolutely overthrow the comic book industry. But Carla Pacheco and Kelly Thompson have so much in common in the way that they write, the way that it's presented. Because I understand that editors are going to say, I need you to change this and I need you to change that. And that's what's really going to bring them both into a more harmonious kind of style. You know what I'm saying? But that said, there's a reason why these two, it's not just because they're both females, it's because the way that these two females are presenting their characters, right? And it's like Black Widow, yeah, Kelly doing Black Widow is something. That's something else. And all the other characters that she does, right? Whether it's Hawkeye, whether it's whatever, you know, Kate Bishop. But the way that she does Captain Marvel and the way that Carla does Captain Marvel's best friend, Spider-Woman, there's just something so great about the way that these two work with it. And again, they barely work with each other. They've both admitted in interviews, you know what I'm saying? Interviews with me, damn it, that, yeah, we sometimes talk about, you know, what the other's doing most of the time through our editors. But for the characters to be so well harmonized with each other, and yet they're not working with each other, it's almost like kismet. And that's a beautiful thing. That's an amazing thing. If you're reading between Captain Marvel and Spider-Woman, if you're reading one of the books and not reading the other, the disservice is yours and you're only hurting yourself. I ask me no questions, I tell you no lies. I'm dead serious about this. If you're reading one, you need to be reading the other. Otherwise, you're the only one who's losing out on this. Reading both of these books together, even though they rarely, if ever, cross over with each other, like Spider-Woman was just in the previous issue, and nothing that happened in that book felt any different than what she's already dealing with here. In fact, I almost think that something that happened in the Captain Marvel book where she got a call and, oh, I have to go. I almost feel like that should have happened in this comic book. Maybe it'll be in the next issue where something comes up and it's like, oh yeah, I was just hanging out with Carol and now I'm over here because, I got a call. What's going on? I almost feel like that really should have happened in this book because it was just so believable. The way that these two work out each other's character. When Carol is in this book, it feels real. It feels like they're just, hey, so this is what I'm going to do here. This is what I'm going to do there. You remember when Donny Cates was doing Doctor Strange and he called up Chip Zdarsky and worked it out to have a couple pages of Chip drawing and writing Spider-Man, a mini, Spider-Man where Spider-Man gets turned into a spider, right, in the Doctor Strange book? And Marvel cleared it, and they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. We'll arrange the payments and everything like that to boom, 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 boom. It feels like that's what's happening here. I love the idea that this is pretty much what we're seeing. Like I said, if you're reading one, you got to read the other. You have to. Because it's only going to enhance what you're reading. And it really makes me think that at some point, these two are going to be working with each other at some point. Because wow, and double wow. Guys, that's all for me. Like the video, watch an ad, and make sure you're getting both of these books. Because the stories are just so believable. Even if they're just brand new throwaway characters. It almost feels like when Lee and Ditko were doing Spider-Man way back in the day. Those first, 22, 23 issues, right? There was 20... whatever. It was one of those two. It feels like that. And even when Romita Sr. was taking over and just, hey, here's the villain of the month. Here's another villain of the month. And, oh, you want to see those guys again? Cool. You don't like to see these guys? You'll never see these guys again. But these guys you'll see again because you like them. That's what it feels like. It's like we're judging. We're the ones who are saying, we like this, we don't like that. And that's just what we're getting. It's fantastic. And, again, the idea that Carla is having so much fun doing these, it really translates to us. Boom. I didn't even tell you hardly anything that happened in the story because that's how good the comic book was. You're better off just reading it for yourself and enjoying. And I hope you do. Talk to you guys later. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.